What did your wife/husband hide from you until after you were already married? Story 1. He had taken breakdancing lessons as a kid. He won't show me. Reply. Start leaving refrigerator-sized pieces of cardboard laying around the house. Like mousetraps, but for breakdancing. Reply 2. Okay, but to be fair, anytime I think I can still do what less than 18-year-old me could do, I end up unable to move for 3 to 4 business days now. Story 2. That he was in the military. I had recently enlisted in the Army when I met him out one night. He told me he was a Marine veteran, and that's how we started talking. He told me stories about his time overseas and how he still keeps in touch with his military buddies. We eventually get married 2 years later, and when I applied for a VA loan under his name, I got a letter from DOD that they had no record of him ever being in the military. He fabricated the whole thing. He would ask for military discounts constantly and would tell these elaborate war stories to people, all while wearing old military clothes. When I confronted him about all the lies, he started yelling at me. We are now divorced. Reply. My mother-in-law's third husband did the same thing. Told everyone that he was a Marine that was involuntarily discharged because he fought or something. I don't know much about the military, but my brother-in-law was actually a Marine and he bought the story, so it must have been plausible. Anyway, he had military tattoos and had everyone buying him Marine-related things for gifts and whatnot. When he passed, the funeral director asked if he was in the service, and my mother-in-law said yes. His brother and dad looked at her like she was crazy. They told her that not only was he never in the military, but he actually spent the years he said he was in the military in prison for almost killing someone. Oops. Story 3. My ex told me about how her ex-husband had threatened her a knife and chased her around the house. After she attacked me, I tracked him down, and it was her that did the knifing, not him. Reply. Holy shit, you really dodged a knife there. Story 4. A child. Reply. There's only one thing worse than a rapist. Reply 2. Must have been a good hiding spot. Story 5. I didn't really sneeze as loud as I wanted to when we were dating. Once we're hitched, I unleashed the full-blown dad sneeze. Reply. My husband just unleashed his full dad sneeze about a year ago, 9 years into marriage. It's like he's trying to deafen me / not trying at all to not scream like a warrior. It's a sneeze, not a pro tennis match. Reply 2. My husband is a scream sneezer. It can be terrifying out of the blue. Story 6. Night terrors. Had her first one a couple months into the marriage. She went right back to sleep. I, of course, was prepared for battle. The next morning, when I asked her if she wanted to talk about it, she said, "Talk about what?" I said, "Are you screaming like you were being killed in the middle of the night?" Her reply was, "Oh yeah, I do that sometimes." Reply. Not living with someone before marriage seems wild to me. Reply 2. My wife and I spent 6 months living together in a travel trailer in the Alaskan boonies to see how well we worked together before getting married and buying a house, and while she may not understand the concept of salt and pepper in cooking, she has literally shot a rifle over my head to scare off a bear that came up behind me while cutting firewood. Reply 3. Right, a bear. Did you see one? Story 7. I hid that I was a male cheerleader in high school from my wife for more than 15 years. Reply. Phil Dunphy? Story 8. Why are all the comments so depressing? I hid the fact that I really like Anya from my husband. He now has to put up with me listening to her whenever I paint. Reply. I was thinking the same thing. My husband hid that he hates mayo because I asked if he wanted to split a tuna sandwich on our third date. Poor thing just sucked it up for over a year before finally asking me to stop putting it on his sandwiches. Story 9. Found he was doing crack. He'd been in rehab for many years before I knew him. He was supposedly sober. Then a bit after we got married, I found a stash of crack in his tool belt. He tried to play it off as I keep it as a reminder that I'm strong enough to say no, and I believed him. I didn't truly, but I wanted to, so I pretended. Till I caught him buying it, started finding crack pipes. Reply. I'm an addict and I busted out laughing at that zinger he got away with. I keep it as a reminder I'm strong enough. That shit's killing me, damn LMFAO. Story 10. She totally hid how very good she'd look at 40. Took like 20 years to find that one out. Story 11. Nothing. He passed away 6.5 years ago now, and despite having access to all his emails, texts, notes and other personal things, I never found anything unexpected. In fact, I mostly found things about how much he loved me and his personal stuff. Reply. This is beautiful and heartbreaking. Story 12. Not quite on topic, but my wife was a therapist. I found out after she passed that she was basically free therapy for my college roommate, his sons, and some of my relatives. A couple of them asked if I wanted to know what they talked about, and I told them if she wanted me to know, she would have told me. Reply. She was a professional and she donated her time. Story 13. His first name. Didn't know I'd been calling him by his middle name until we were signing the marriage license. Reply. I didn't know my stepdad's first name until 10 years after he married my mom, when I was mid-20s. Everyone called him by his middle name and nobody knew his first name. Story 14. Her father was a proud neo-Nazi. I'm black. She told me about 6 months into our relationship, we've been together 12 years and have one child together. She didn't tell me because she thought I would have dumped her. She would have been right. I'm over it. He's not a part of her life and hasn't been for 18 years. Story 15. Farts that clear the room, was like she held them all in until after the vows. Reply. First time me and my wife slept in the same bed, she woke me up by doing a fucking huge fart on my leg. I think I jumped about 2 foot in the air in fright. She tried to pretend to still be asleep, but I could see her silently giggling. To this day I don't know if it was intentional or not. Story 16. I had an experience with a friend. We grew up together in the hood. At his wedding he told this story about how we grew up wealthy and traveled the world with his parents while growing up and university educated. In reality he's from the projects and lived but poor and never finished university. I had to sit there and listen to him tell the story at his wedding. I still hang with him and his wife. He keeps telling this lie and it makes me crazy. Reply. It's probs his wife's family, no big deal. Some people really care what their family thinks, but she, hopefully, knows the truth. Story 17. Scrabble is my game. I had never lost to anyone, until the first time my husband and I played against each other. He obliterated me. I had talked a big game and I was flabbergasted. 7 years into our marriage, he admitted during a couple's party game that he had waited until I went to the bathroom and swapped out some tiles. Reply. That's a psychopath in the making. Story 18. Never got married, thank God, but my ex hid that he nearly killed his previous ex and her little sister in a car accident where he was totally at fault. I believe his ex was in a medically induced coma for a few days. He broke up with her as soon as she was awake. Why? Because she had a brain injury, and those are always a little tricky to predict on how much someone will recover from. Didn't find this out until I was practically moved in with him, and while organizing my things with his, found his box of court documents pertaining to the crash. Found out that another ex of his committed suicide. That I found out from an ex-friend of his after I had broken up. Ex-friend fully believes he pushed his ex to do it. And considering the state of my mental health when we had broken up, I believe it. He was really good at breaking people down in such sneaky ways. Was never blatantly verbally abusive. It was always offhand comments or passive-aggressive remarks. Story 19. She told me she could drive stick. We got married and every car I owned was stick except 2500 pickup. It became a huge problem when she had to go somewhere that would be challenging to drive large truck to. Story 20. That he was gay. Reply. I understand this one. My parents were 3 months away from their 20th wedding anniversary when he broke down in front of her, my brother, and I stating that he just couldn't live a lie anymore, and confessed that he was gay, and was moving out. My brother and I were in high school at the time. It was a weird transition. The only positive side was my mom knew she was completely fault-free in the breakup of her marriage. She was brought up heavy Catholic. So the divorce hit her really hard. Story 21. When I first married my wife, I thought she was taking the pill. She was taking it before we got married. BTW, during our first 4 months together, I realized she was an alcoholic. While dating, I thought she couldn't hold her alcohol on weekends. 6 months into our marriage, she became pregnant, and I asked her how that could be since she was on the pill. She nonchalantly said that she didn't think it was important to tell me because she thought it would take longer for her to get pregnant. Meanwhile, I am worried about her excessive drinking every night. I only drank on weekends when we were with friends socially. Fortunately, it was a normal pregnancy, but after that she had 2 miscarriages, which I felt had to do with her alcoholism. After 4 rehabs and me divorcing her after 19 years of marriage, she finally hit her bottom and stopped. It was a tough 19 years. I am happy to say she has been sober the past 10 years. Story 22. That he was unemployed and in the middle of a bankruptcy case, and he also lost his house to foreclosure. The worst part is that I never found out about any of this until years later when we were getting divorced. He hid so much from me, and I still have no clue how. Story 23. That she was adopted, not that I would have given a shit. It is obviously an emotional subject for her, and she loves her parents. We have never talked about it since either. Married 26 years this year. Story 24. She skips all the cutscenes in every game. It kills me. Story 25. After our divorce, my ex-husband very quickly married a godly woman who just joined his church, who confessed she had been married twice before. Our son overheard something about this, so I looked her up in our local court system that has divorce records. Turns out she had 5 ex-husbands, all in the same pension program, and she was on their retirement as beneficiaries. My ex was in the same pension program, but didn't believe his oh-so-Christian fiancée could ever lie or be married that many times. Their marriage lasted 2 years, and he had to liquefy a 401k to bribe her to be removed from his pension. She used that money to take her boyfriend, who my ex didn't know she had, on a tropical vacation, then move into a new place with him. The end. Subscribe for more. Thank you.